Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishnaya Bhutale Srimani Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaro Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishnaya Bhutale Srimani Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Swami
Hare Krishna to everyone. Let's put our hands up. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we have quite a pleasant surprise this evening. Tonight we're going to bring out the beautiful golden Thai deities. So I humbly request for each and every one of you to please rise as we welcome the deities.
श्री श्री निताय गौर हरि के हरि नाम संकीर्तन के जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद के
Hi, Krishna, you may all be seated. We will engage in a little bit more kirtan before we continue with our program. Ravindra Swarup Prabhu is here joining us from Shri Shri Radha Radhanar, and he will lead us into kirtan.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Vishnu,
Hare Krishna. So nice to see so many faces here with us this evening on behalf of the Namahatta and the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, founded by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. A very warm welcome to each and every one of you. It is a very auspicious day today. It is Nirjala Ekadasi, and we look forward to Nirjala Ekadasi that comes by once a year in the month of June. And apart from that, today is also a very special day because a very special devotee is celebrating her birthday today. So, Srimati Mataji, a very happy birthday. But we will be celebrating Mataji's birthday a bit later on in the program. But it is so wonderful to see so many people here that are here to celebrate her birthday with her. And I see so many family here as well. So very, very warm welcome to you all. Let's give all their family a huge round of applause as well. So it is my absolute honor and privilege in introducing our speaker for this evening. His Grace Smita Krishna Prabhu. Huge round of applause to him. Prabhu has been serving in Krishna consciousness for the past 30 years. He is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami, and we all know Prabhu for his amazing, inspiring classes, and he serves in various different capacities in Krishna consciousness. He is a spiritual teacher, he is a course developer, he is an outreach coordinator, and his contributions to the Bhaktivedanta College of Education and Culture has been invaluable. And Prabhu, out of his spiritual pursuits, is known as Dr. S. Ramson. He is a lecturer at Varsity College, and he is absolutely amazing and inspiring young and old, and always engaging the youth. So we are very, very fortunate to have his lovely association with us on this beautiful Friday evening here in Lamasi. So I welcome you, Prabhu. Thank you for joining us. And let's give Prabhu another round of applause, and I hand over to him.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Literally, as far as the eye can see, there's so many people. This is so wonderful. Thank you very much, Vijay. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So thank you very much for this kind invitation. Please take the echo off. Thanks. Thank you so much for the kind invitation, Mahaprasad Prabhu and Madhurya Bhakti Mataji, to this one of the best Namahattas. It reminds me, I'm seeing Janavi sitting here, one of our devotees, when we started in Phoenix in school 44. Used to have the same kind of response. But to see so many people here, this is very amazing. Thank you so much for responding to the invitation to this Namahatta, and in particular the family members that have come to celebrate this with Madhurya on her birthday. It's a wonderful, loving occasion, and we're glad that everybody is here. There are so many birthdays that people have, parties and so on, but this is the best way to celebrate a birthday party, because you are dedicating it all in service to the Supreme Lord. And by that way, so many blessings will come for that. We are all brothers and sisters under the protection of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So before we begin, we do chant a bhajan called Jai Radha Madhava. And I'll just sing it shortly, because there is another bhajan that I want to sing with you just on the screen here. And then at the end of the class, we will have some of the youth. I think there's 2 or 3 of them. Krishna Krishna, Vivash will speak because it's related to the topic. Hare Krishna. Everybody at the back can hear. Thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't put the song yet for this. It's for those who do not know, it's only 4 lines, so let's say it together and then we can learn it. The first line is Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Everybody's got it? Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari. So say the 2 lines. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Yashoda Nandan Raja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Simple, isn't it? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Hari ki Hari Nam Sankirtan Gope Hari I'd like to sit up and cross-legged. If it's possible. Yeah. Thank you. thin, right? So, in this presentation today, we'd like to establish a few important points about spiritual understanding. But before I do that, it would not be proper of me if I didn't thank these wonderful musicians that are here, Chance and Prabhu. It's a very, very long-standing musician. Prabhu, your name?
Ajit.
Ajit on the flute. And we have Kamal, one of the best Madanga players in South Africa. And there's Ravinda Swarup Prabhu. So, this is a transcendental party with all the wonderful musicians here. So this presentation, this year is the 50th anniversary of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, or as we endearingly call him, Srila Prabhupada, having arrived in South Africa in 1975. So it's the 50th year, and it's a major milestone. So we are commemorating that, and we want to understand Srila Prabhupada's position, as well as some of the important teachings that he has given us. Because in those 50 years, you can see that Hare Krishna has become a household name in South Africa. Everywhere we go, today we just stopped to fill petrol, and the attendant said, Hare Krishna. So, Prabhupada's impact has been everywhere. So this is amazing. And it's not just a greeting, because by the chanting of Hare Krishna, one can very easily attain liberation in the spiritual world. So this becomes part of our mission as those who have become convinced about Srila Prabhupada's message, to try and spread this to everybody as far and wide as possible, because we know that this is the solution to the world's problems. When a doctor, let's say a doctor discovers the cure for cancer, panacea is called, right? The solution for it. If he is a compassionate person, he is not going to ask Big Pharma to sell it. He's going to give it far and wide to solve the problem. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada understood what is needed for this age, and therefore he came and spread this message. So for the purposes of the class, I call this a prophecy fulfilled, the life and mission of Srila Prabhupada. And I will interweave the philosophical points about this understanding. For those who are not regularly practicing Krishna consciousness, then it's good to have a basic grounding in the understanding, so that everything else we discuss from here will become clear. In the culture that's familiar with Krishna is generally amongst those who practice Hinduism. And they grow up knowing Krishna, Ram, right? Here, some still don't know, but they may hear Balaram. Even less, they may hear Nishingadev, Varahadev, or they may just hear Das Avatar, the 10 incarnations of the Lord, and so on. So they have some understanding, but unfortunately, not many people have much understanding. So we'd like to clarify those points, and then we can understand Prabhupada's mission. In the ancient scriptures that emanated or arose from India, they are known as the Vedas. Veda means knowledge. And when this planet is created by Lord Brahma, the universe is created by Lord Brahma, then the Vedas come with the creation Just as much as a manual comes with your appliance. When you have a new appliance, then the manual comes. And that, the Vedas, they don't tempt me. Thank you. If I need it, I will. Thanks. So today's Nirjal. Nirjal means fasting without jal. No water. So we're trying. So if you bless me, then maybe we'll make it to the morning tomorrow. But we are practical. If you can't do it for health reasons or something, take some. We're not going to be crucified if you do. Yeah. So we understand that in this practice, Krishna is described in the scriptures as the Supreme Lord. Now, when you use the word supreme, the supreme means singular, not many. So in Sanskrit, there are two terms, Bhagavan and Devata. So Bhagavan is Bhagavan, the supreme. And Devata are the demigods, as Srila Prabhupada translated that. So therefore you cannot say that all the demigods are one, and they are the same, and whoever it is that you worship, all is one. No, because immediately the Vedas have said, Bhagavan and Devata. They've made the distinction. So there are 33 million of the Devatas. We know few. How many? Saraswati, Durga, Lakshmi, Kali. We know a few. So when we have this understanding that the Devatas are actually the administrators of the universe who execute a service on behalf of the Lord. The Supreme Lord empowers them, and they are the agents that attend to the desires and the needs of the living entities, you and I, the Jiva, on this planet. Right? Or in the material universe. So the Devatas can award particular material facilities. And therefore, many people are very inclined to worship a particular Devata for a particular purpose. As soon as you think about people wanting wealth, then everybody worships Lakshmi. Lakshmi Puja is so big. Or if you think about knowledge, then everybody worships Saraswati. But the explanation is given that since there are 33 million demigods and you're only worshipping a few, that's very partial. You're very partial. What about the other 32 million and 999,993? What about them? Only 7 you worship. So the logic or the analogy is given that when you want to water a plant, do you water each leaf separately? What's the easiest thing to do to nourish the whole plant? Water the root. So Krishna is the root of creation. And when you offer your worship to the Supreme Lord, the entire creation becomes satisfied. And therefore there's no need for separate ritualistic worship. Most people engage in worship in the world out of custom and tradition, and the main driving force is fear. Because if I don't do this and don't do that, what will happen? So these are the motivations. Or people want the material rewards. So the Supreme Lord says, should worship me. Those who worship the ancestors, they go to the ancestors. Those who worship the ghosts and spirits, they go to the ghosts and spirits. Those who worship the demigods, go to the demigods. Those who worship me, come to me. So we think, therefore we understand by scripture. Sometimes people say, oh, I don't want to listen to scripture because how do I know? It's man-made and so many interpretations and so on are there. Yes, you're partially right. There are many interpretations. And sometimes there's misrepresentations because people are not bona fide, have written things. So therefore we follow a system in which we can understand what is bona fide. So in India, when they want to, you had Alfonso mangoes. Alfonso mangoes. It's the best mango. You can go to one of this Indian spice shops and you'll see in the can Alfonso. Try it. Put it in the ice cream. So the way they collect the mango is that they have people in the tree, the young boys on the top branch, and then one little lower, one little lower, one little lower. So they break the mango and they don't throw it. They hand it to the next one, and they hand it to the next one, and they hand it, and they hand it, and bring it down, and they keep it, and it's intact. No bruises, no damage. Similarly, the Vedas are coming from Lord Brahma to Narad Muni, to Sri Vyasadeva, who is the writer of the Vedas, all the way down Madhava, all the way down, all the way to Lord Chaitanya, and then to Srila Prabhupada in that line. So in this way, the mango of the Vedas has not been damaged in any way, and the message is intact. Now what's the proof of that? Srila Prabhupada translated Bhagavad Gita. Before his translation called Bhagavad Gita as it is, there's about 600 versions of this on the marketplace. Not many who read that understood Krishna as the Supreme Lord, nor did they become devotees. As soon as Srila Prabhupada translated Bhagavad Gita as it is, devotees emerged all over the world in their thousands. So the medicine was not diluted. When a medicine is pure, it has its effect. So the message of Krishna came through that disciplined succession called a parampara. Now that we understood that, then that's the framework I'm giving you. So please also ask some question, and I would really appreciate that. And given the crowd that's here, even if 10% ask, we'll have quite a few questions. So please don't be shy to ask. So a prophecy fulfilled. Prophecy means? Anybody? A prophecy? Another word that starts with P? A prediction. Thank you. A prediction. So we'll see how Srila Prabhupada's life and mission and his appearance have been predicted. So before we do that, we've already said the prayers, so let us go to this. This is a verse. From the back, is this readable? Thank you. Okay. You see in the opera house they have their binoculars and they watch. So hopefully you can see from the back. So this is an extract of a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is Bhagavad Purana, and the author is Sri Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is the literary incarnation of Krishna, and he compiled all the Vedas into writing. Because prior to that, the sages were so powerful that they would just listen and they would remember syllable by syllable and they could repeat it. But in this Kali Yuga, as it approached, Vyasadeva saw by his vision that in this age, people will not be able to have this kind of capacity, and therefore committed it to writing. So in this Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, in chapter 31, verse 9. This is the verse that's given. So the context of the verse is Sri Krishna has very intimate devotees, and they are known as the gopis. The highest platform of devotional service is loving Krishna as your beloved. It's not something that we could understand or imitate, because that love is pure. And we have a lot of material contamination and we cannot. But the context is that the gopis, they're dancing with Krishna. And Krishna expands himself to be with every gopi. And they're all thinking, oh, Krishna is only with me. And they became a little proud. Not the pride we have in this world, but transcendental pride. So Krishna, detecting that, he leaves the arena and he disappears just to teach them a lesson. But higher than that is also to increase their love for him further, because they now miss him. So in that, the gopis are singing. And this is the verse. So let us say it and then we'll sing it. Everybody say, Kavakatamritam. Loudly, loudly. There's so many here actually, resounding. Kavakatamritam. Tapta Jivanam. Kavibhir iditam. Kalmashapaham. Shravana Mangalam. Srimad Atatam. Bhuvi Grinanti. Ye Bhuridha Jana. Okay, so, I'm not much of a bhajan singer or anything, but this is like a 2-beat. Fortunately, I have come on here. And somebody can play the kata also 2-beat. Okay. So I will visit the translation of this verse later. And you will see how important. But remember, these are the gopis that are singing 5,000 years ago, recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam. So I want you to visualize something. Everybody can close their eyes. Don't be shy. Nobody's running around to take your phones. Just close your eyes. And I want you to think of the coldest winter that you've experienced or even have seen. Can you think about it? Can you see maybe snow? Can you see ice? Can you hear the wind blowing? Icy wind blows, the coldest winter with the heaviest snows. Through the canyon walls of New York, grey buildings tall. Zooming down from the sky, you see in your mind's eye a lone figure in saffron dressed with pointed shoes, every step a divine intent, leaning against the wind. With the determined purpose bent. Who is that aristocratic personality who came to teach us the spiritual reality? You may open your eyes. 1966 February was the worst winter ever recorded in the US, in New York. But in 1965, on August 13th, this personality, Srila Prabhupada, left Calcutta begging passage on a steamship because he had no money. $5 worth of rupees. And a trunk full of books, his Srimad Bhagavatam, which he had personally translated and had printed. On board the Jalajuta, he begged passage, and he crossed the Atlantic and arrived in Boston Harbor on September 17th in the same year, 1965. The next day he took a bus to New York City without any help, no means, no accommodation. It was the height of the hippie era. And we shall hear about that in this clip. So I may have to adjust. So Prabhu, we're ready with sound there. Oh, it's here. Okay. Let us switch the sound again, please, Sandy. So we made some adjustment with sound because it's on. I want you to watch that. So it's coming out of this little box in front of me. Because we could.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. A hypnotic rhythmic chant, 16 words, has replaced LSD. on 2nd Avenue and 1st Street.
Okay, some little gremlin is in there.
Is a store.
We need our picture back. Mhm. Okay, I see. Let's see. Did you? Yeah, might be there. Replicate. Yeah. Thank you. All of these technical things. It's back? All right. Let's start again. No, but we keep, I think it's the HDMI. What did you tell me earlier? Murphy's Law. Yeah. I think we'll get it right this time. All right, speaker out. Okay. Fingers crossed. Oh no. Okay, let me just amplify with the microphone from here, and that should work. But I'd like you to watch that. It's a very important clip. That is the technician in the house, as they say. Yeah, I need to get. See, it goes through the HDMI. Let's see. Okay, we will switch that on just in case. Yeah. We'll try one more time. From here, if it doesn't work, then I'll use that. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. A hypnotic rhythmic chant of 16 words has replaced LSD. On 2nd Avenue and 1st Street is a storefront in which a Hindu Swami has set up shop.
Traditionally, Swamis, yogis, and masters all moved uptown to the rich. And he was Bhaktivedanta, like in the depths of Calcutta.
Swami Bhaktivedanta, he once said that he was the servant of the servant of the servant of God.
Everyone is thinking, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm European, I'm Australian. I'm not this God. I am a thinking soul.
Teachings of Bhakti are meant to create a revolution within the heart. They're meant to change the way we see the world. The 60s, everything exploded.
The young people were not satisfied. They were looking for something more.
We wanted to find out what is the truth.
At the age of 70, Srila Prabhupada just left everything that was known to him.
He said, I want to go to America. I said, I'm crazy. The old man who are going to die. He was fearless and he was bold. He was going to give up the truth. He had this one spirit, one calling in his heart. And someone told you the story, and you wouldn't believe it. So I went to America at all. All by himself, a trunk of books, 40 rupees. It was impossible. But Srila Prabhupada had faith. Prabhupada had a vision for the world from day one. He wanted to embrace the world.
There was an extract from a movie that premiered here in 2017 all over the world about Srila Prabhupada. But you get a sense of what it was like when he went to America at that time. In the 1960s, just before that, 1960s, the US law had prevented all foreigners, especially from India, to arrive in America. And just before Prabhupada arrived in America, they repealed that law. So there's an arrangement, a higher arrangement, right? At that time, the hippies were young people who were rebelling against society, the middle and upper class values of their industrial and extravagant materialistic society. They didn't find happiness in that. They looked, however, mistakenly elsewhere. Drugs, sex, and rock and roll. That's where they were looking. And when the Swami appeared, he gave them an alternative, which was beyond a materialistic solution to their problems. He gave them the higher taste of Krishna consciousness. So a grand plan was unfolding, and I'll keep an eye on the time, right? So how many minutes more I have, Madhuri?
About 10 minutes, we answer questions.
Okay. So let's go through it quickly, and I'm going to skip some slides then. So a grand plan was unfolding. 5,000 years ago, Mother Ganga had spoken to Lord Krishna. So Ganga is not just a river. Yesterday was Ganga Dussehra, when she appeared on this planet. So she's not just a river, she's a personality. So Ganga Devi can be considered as one of those devatas we're speaking about. But she's a devotee of Krishna. And she is speaking to the Lord and saying to the Lord, and this is recorded in Brahma Vaivarta Purana, that, my dear Lord, the persons are going to come. They know about my purificatory nature, and all the sinful persons are going to commit so much sins, and they'll just come and bathe in me and dump the results of their sinful activities in me. And what's likely to happen to me? The Lord Krishna told, my dear Ganga Devi, you should not worry. After 5,000 years of this age has passed, the Kali Yuga had begun, after 5,000 years, which is now. The great sage and worshipper of my holy names, my mantra upashaka, will come. And he will bring with him all of the great devotees. And they will come and bathe in your water. And they will relieve you of the sinful activities that have been deposited in you. So, those who go to the Ganga and understand her potency of purifying your sinful activities, that's very wonderful. But after you take bath in Ganga, then don't go back to your sinful activity. Give it up. It is said, Sa eva gokura. One who takes bath in the Ganga simply as a ritual, but does not listen to the great sages who reside there, is no better than an ass or a cow. Because that's what they do too, they bath in the Ganga. Another great personality called Bhakti Devi. Bhakti Devi, the personification of Bhakti. Bhakti means love of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada translated it as devotional service. Because you see, love is not a noun. Ask those who are in love, they will tell you. Because it's not a noun. It means if you love me, then show me. Do something for me. Love is a verb. So love for Krishna is called devotional service, action, activity, doing something. It's not enough just to offer the prayers. It's good to offer, but do something. So Bhakti is that personification. And she, this is an analogy. So she has two sons known as Jnana and Vairagya. Jnana and Vairagya. Jnana means knowledge. Vairagya means renunciation. So for one who wants to practice spiritual life, that person tries to gain knowledge and also tries to be renounced from the material world. So Bhakti Devi's two sons are Jnana and Vairagya. So there are those who try to be artificially renounced. They say, okay, I'll give up everything. But they do not develop the love for the Supreme Lord. So that renunciation is artificial. Because while they may physically and mechanically stop themselves from doing something, the mind is still very active and attached to the objects of the senses. You can only stop the attachment of the mind to the object of the senses if you give it something superior to do. When you are given something superior to engage the mind, then you'll find, like, mothers know this, mothers know the secret. The children make naughty and disturbing. She wants to cook, play disturbing and so on. So she said, okay, come. Here's a pot for you. Put the child down and the pot is the child busy playing with that pot and the nonsense stops. The child got a superior engagement. Right? You know, this is the pedagogics of teachers. Give them some superior engagement. So, in that way, similarly, the mind is active. It's either your best friend or your worst enemy. So you want it to be a best friend, and you engage the mind in something superior. And what is that? You engage the mind in the service of Krishna. So Bhakti Devi, she traversed all over India, and she found that people were materialistic on this planet. And therefore her two sons, Jnana, knowledge, and renunciation, they became old and almost dying. Because nobody was engaging in bhakti anymore. Therefore her sons were languishing. And when she came to Vrindavan, she saw Narad Muni. I'm going to cut this lovely story short. She saw Narad Muni, the great sage Narad Muni, the transcendental spaceman, the great devotee of the Lord who traverses through the universe playing his veena. And as soon as she saw him, she stood up. My dear sage, my sons Jnana and Vairagya are dying. Please give me a solution. Narad Muni, he did not know immediately. He tried to revive. He said, my dear Bhakti, I shall come back with the answer. So he traversed all over. And he came upon some great devotees known as the Kumaras, the four Kumaras. The four Kumaras are like little 5-year-old boys, brahmacharis. But they are the oldest, some of the oldest personalities in this universe. But because of their purity, they look eternally young. And the Kumaras, who were great devotees, instructed Narad Muni, you listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. And by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, these Jnana and Vairagya will be revived. So he arranged for that in Vrindavan. The Kumaras came, they recited Bhagavatam. Bhakti Devi came with her two children, almost dead. And she sat and listened. And as she listened, the two Jnana and Vairagya were revived. So Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Puran, is that scripture in this age of Kali Yuga that is meant to revive the dormant consciousness. The chanting of Hare Krishna and Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna swadhamo pagate dharma jnani dibhisa kalo nasto drisamnesha purana dhunodita. This Purana is brilliant as the rising sun. And it has arisen after Krishna has returned to his abode, followed by religious principles. Those who are floundering in the darkness of Kali Yuga will attain the light from this Purana. And what does it say? Develop your bhakti for Krishna. Now that Purana, it is predicted that Puran, Bhakti Devi told Narad Muni, that in the future, I shall traverse this world. Now how is that possible? So some hints have been given. My mantra upashaka will come, Bhakti will traverse the world. How is that going to be possible? Who is that personality that's going to come to do this? So we shall skip some of these slides, and unfortunately we're running out of time, but I would have loved to have spoken about them. So we had a nice ceremony in which we brought out Nitai Gaura Hari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. Those of you know Krishna and Krishna's Leela, you know Krishna and Balaram. Krishna and his brother Balaram, who appeared 5,000 years ago. When Krishna appeared, he spoke Bhagavad Gita, he taught by his example, he attracted the living entities back to him, and then he left the planet. When Krishna left the planet, Krishna thinks, Yotishta Bihari Krishna Kore Antardhan. Antardhan Kore Mane Kore Anuman. I have given them all of this. Now that I have left, how will they remember my teachings? Meaning us in the future. How will they remember? How will they know? How will they practice? This Kali Yuga is coming. More and more people are disqualified. And what is our disqualification? Bhagavatam says, Prayena alpayusa sabhya kalo asmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo mando bhagya upadruta. That in this age of Kali, people will be short-lived. They will be quarrelsome. They will be lazy. They will be unlucky. And they will always be disturbed. Look around. You have a checklist. Does it see? Do you see in society these things? People are short-lived. Nobody lives to 100 in a hurry. 60 years, 80 years. Children, 15, 20, passing away. Quarrelsome? Need I say anything about that? Brothers will kill brothers in Kali Yuga. Family feuds. Some of you may know. I haven't seen my brother or sister for a long time. Because we have a tension there. So Kali Yuga, this is Kali Yuga. So how then are we going to practice this highest principles, these lofty principles of spiritual life when we do not have the qualification? A few rare people can go and perform Ashtanga Yoga in the Himalayas. It is a bona fide process. But it's a mechanical process of trying to control the mind and the senses. And therefore you have to meditate inwards for hundreds of years. So Krishna decides to come. That as in guise of his devotee he comes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he teaches in the guise of a devotee, by his example, how to worship the Lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in 1486 and he predicted Priti Viti Ache Yata Nagaradi Gram Sarvatra Prachara Hoive Meulinam. In every town and village will my holy name be heard. And this is in the subcontinent of India. 1486, Industrial Revolution is just about to start. We don't have means of crossing the ocean, no aeroplanes. So it seems to be like a poetic statement. How is it possible? But then, despite the Industrial Revolution being as degraded as it is, everything is the Lord's energy and it has its utility. So therefore Srila Prabhupada crossed the ocean in Jaladuta and then flew around the world 12 times. He circled the world in planes. A reporter asked him at the airport when some devotees picked him up in a limousine and said to him, "Oh Swamiji, you are still renounced. Why are you in the limousine?" He said, "My disciples, they should have brought me a gold one." Because the principle is that you do the best for the spiritual master. He is not attached to it. But you as a devotee, as a disciple, you offer your best that you can. And Now that we have used the airplanes and the limousines, then they have now fulfilled their perfect purpose. So Srila Prabhupada. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted, and he said that, and he also is recorded to have said that, it is said that as the further west you go, the more sinful it is. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, he said that these sinful persons may flee to the west. Yadi papi chadi dharma dhur yeshyaya mora senapati bhakta bhaivete. My senapati, my commander-in-chief of my armies, even though they flee to the west, he will pursue them and deliver them. So Srila Prabhupada came. And in the line of Srila Prabhupada, above Srila Prabhupada is his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Above him is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And above him is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In 1881, Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted. Prabhupada appeared when? 1896, so this is long before that. He said, very soon a great personality will appear who will spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. In 1881 he said that. In 1896 he appeared. And when Srila Prabhupada did appear, an astrologer predicted, told his father, Gaur Mohan Dey, that this child will cross the ocean, he'll become a great sannyasi, and he will open a minimum of 108 temples. Now we have more than 600. So these are all divine predictions, and therefore what we are saying is not on sentiment. Srila Prabhupada's guru said, when he gave initiation to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada became Abhay Charanaravinda. So when he became Bhaktivedanta Swami, then the devotees living in the ashrams, the sannyasis living in ashram, they kept telling Bhaktisiddhanta, tell him join us as well. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, leave him be. In the future he will do great things. I have marked him. So Srila Prabhupada then had traversed the world and came to South Africa, placing his lotus feet here in this country. And therefore this country is blessed. We may be living in South Africa despite all of these external calamities. We may see all the politicians doing what they want. So much of strife in society. So this Kali Yuga will unfold like that. It is going to become worse and worse and worse. And the only solace, the only solution is actually to take to the chanting of the holy name. Kale dosha nija rajan asti eko mahaguna kirtana deva krishna si mukta sangha param praja. My dear king, this Kali Yuga is full of faults, but there is one redeeming quality, and that is Kirtana Deva Krishna. Krishna Kirtan, the chanting of the holy name, the Maha Mantra. So simply by chanting the Maha Mantra, one can make very, very rapid progress. And there's no need for one to traverse slowly through different stages of different practices up this ladder that takes so long. You can take the express elevator of chanting Hare Krishna. And wherever you are, whatever situation you are, you can immediately make leaps and bounds of spiritual advancement. And that is the duty of the living entity. The supreme occupation of the living entity is to attain to that which brings him the loving devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So we'll stop there. Do we have some youth? Okay, let's take one question. And then I asked 3 youth, 3 persons, to speak briefly about what it means for them as youngsters to know about Srila Prabhupada and the impact. And then we have a big party. Give away. Okay. You can? Alright, so we have some gifts to give away. You know, it's a party for Madhurya Bhakti, but she's giving you some gifts. Some Bhagavad Gitas to give away. And somebody, Gopish, right? You can think about a question or two from my class maybe and then ask it. Okay. So these are like very long questions. Hare Krishna. Well, this is a wonderful. You know, in the party you must have some humor. Also, you get that. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I am a Gopa looking for my Gopi. Unfortunately, many only have eyes for Krishna. The Gopis, you mean. Some even refer to themselves as Krishna's Kishori. Can you explain what this means and is a place for me in a heart belonging to Krishna? This is somebody who's lamenting unrequited love. Is the theme of all the great poets and writers. They write about it, they express their hearts. Maybe you may write a book or a poem too. If these gopis have love for Krishna, then you should help them to remain loving to Krishna. Because externally you may be a man and a woman. And, you know, given gender diffusion nowadays, love is quite pluralistic. So, given that you have all of these external designations, Srila Prabhupada said in the video, some are thinking I am Indian, I am American, I am Russian, but I am not the body. I am spirit soul. So as spirit soul, you are eternally in love with Krishna. But you've forgotten it. And therefore when you enter into this material nature, you are reflecting that original loving propensity you have for the Lord through the body, through the senses. You're projecting your original consciousness through the material consciousness onto material objects. And you're thinking that the sense enjoyment that I can derive from this will give me the highest pleasure. But then, as it happens in all of these love stories that we read, at the end, perhaps the person may go off with somebody else, and then you are left with your broken heart. But if that person is going off with somebody else who's called Krishna, that is the perfection of their life. So, do not hanker. Having said that, Chatur Varyam Maya Shistam Guna Karma Vibhagasam. There are 4 social orders that Krishna has created. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. So the brahmacharis mean that they are celibate students. They are like our youngsters here. Until the age of 25 at least, they should remain celibate and practice have spiritual practices. And in that way, they become qualified if they want to enter into the next phase of life, is called Grihastha Ashram. So if you're really wanting to enter Grihastha Ashram, then the cultural thing is that we approach some elders in our community and we tell them. And the elders in the community, you know how they are networked with all the families. And they will have somebody ideal in mind. and they will introduce you. But to ensure that it is a compatible match, then we also rely on some astrology to see that your qualities and the qualities of the so-called proposed partner are compatible. Higher than that is if both parties are practicing Krishna consciousness, then they will serve Krishna in the middle, not serve each other's senses. They will put Krishna in the middle. And because of that service to Krishna in the middle, they will blossom in their relationships and grow together to the ultimate destination of going back to Krishna. You will support each other in developing that. So, do not be sad. You can approach Krishna. You can tell Krishna that I want to enter Grihastha ashram. I'm being honest. This is my feeling. And please, direct me. Allow somebody who can help me in my Krishna consciousness. And allow that person who I can help in their Krishna consciousness to enter into my life. When you got that perspective right, then Krishna may reciprocate if he feels that is necessary for you. If he feels that that's going to block your progress, then he won't allow it. So I think one question should do. The others who asked the other questions, I won't be sitting down to take prasad today, but I'll be here. You can come and ask me, and so on. So let's hear this youth, and then we'll end with this. Thank you so much for the kind invitation and the permission for presenting this. It's very close to the devotee's heart to present Srila Prabhupada, and we want you to know that he presented Krishna consciousness in its pure form. Somebody asked him, "Oh Swamiji, what are your miracles?" Because that's how they think of people that's supposed to be devotees of God. They're supposed to do some miracles. Swamiji said, "See all these white boys and girls sitting here? They're all hippies. I now made them into devotees, and now they are happies. So they are my miracles. They are my miracles. Taking persons from a degraded background and making them. So what to speak of those who already have some exposure to Krishna? How much you expose yourself to the culture, and how cultured you already are. So why can't you take the next step? Food for thought. Pun unintended on Neil Jalekar. So let us hear these youngsters. Please come forward and we'll hear them, and then we know how the party unfolds after Namahatta. Come. So introduce yourself and then tell us. Come
Hare Krishna.
Stand up for Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees. For those of you who don't know me, I am Krishna Priya. I am Gopeshwari Mataji's daughter and Vijay Prabhu's daughter. And so, of course, I'm not as well versed as some of my seniors present today, like Smita Krishna Prabhu, which thank you, Prabhu, for such a wonderful class, enlightening as always. But I will be sharing my view or the importance that Srila Prabhupada holds in my life. As I'm sure, I feel like we all share the same sentiments on this topic. I haven't really prepared much, but what I can say is that in this age of Kali, as a 15-year-old and 15 years old, I can even say that there are times where I feel like I'm not capable of something, where I feel I'll fail at something. And I'll tell you the one thing that drives me. Something that I think about and I'm like, okay, it just gives me a lot of perspective. I think about the fact that Srila Prabhupada, as a 17-year-old man, set foot on the Jaladuta to an unknown land and gave us this. on the ship, he was exposed to maybe not the best living conditions. And definitely, he did not have the best health. But he persevered. And he didn't just persevere and, produce something small. He produced this. He's the reason we walk into a place and we're identified as devotees because of our neck beads and our tilak, which I wear with such pride because of that. And, Srila Prabhupada, I call him our ultimate Shiksha Guru. He has provided so much guidance to us. And sometimes we could hear something and it doesn't resonate with us at the second. But we put into situations and we think about it and then we're like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And for those of you who don't need to be Gopeshwari Mataji, but who of you are joining us for the first time today? I'm sure there are many. So maybe you don't have such a great understanding of who Srila Prabhupada is. He is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Many call him the father of ISKCON. And when I'm given the chance to talk about my parents, Vijay Prabhu and Gopeshwari Mataji, I talk about them with such pride and respect. Mata Pita Gurudeva. But with that, the greatest thing they've ever given me is the Hare Krishna movement. And they would never have found that without Srila Prabhupada. Which is why I feel like we should all be so eternally grateful to him. I would like to leave you guys with one thought. And that's, if you're ever feeling like you're lost or you're not capable of anything, refer to Srila Prabhupada's books, chant happily, and serve wholeheartedly, and Krishna will lead you home. Hare Krishna.
So if you think you sing double,
Hare Krishna dear devotees, I'm Krishna Priya's twin sister, Vijay Prabhu's daughter, Gopeshwari Mataji's daughter. Prabhu has asked us, firstly, Prabhu, thank you so much, as always, for an enlightening class. I think we all feel so spiritually recharged, I cannot be the only one. But Prabhu has asked me today to talk about the impact that Prabhupada has had in my life. I am nowhere as elevated or experienced as Prabhu, but I'm sure everyone seated here can agree that Prabhupada has had a small, or at least a small impact. He's the reason why we all seated here today. We all face challenges in our lives where sometimes we need motivation or we lack motivation and inspiration. I can proudly say that the only thing sometimes that keeps me motivated is the fact that Prabhupada, who was 70 years old when he set sail to America to spread the holy name with just a few rupees and not the greatest health. It really puts our problems into perspective and we realize just how minute they are. I won't take up much time, but I'd like to share something that has really stuck with me. My father had shared a pastime about Prabhupada, and it will stick with me for my entire life. It was a time where I'm not sure if this person was a devotee, but they had deeply offended Prabhupada. And instead of bombarding that person, Prabhupada remained silent. Why is that? His disciples even questioned him. And Prabhupada had humbly said, maybe I had offended that person in my past life, and this is my karma unfolding. Prabhupada, if a man like Prabhupada, of such wisdom, a man that should be treated as good as God, can be so humble and understand that whatever happens, good or bad, is karma unfolding, then who are we to get offended? It is in us as humans, it is an innate quality to talk back or defend ourselves when we feel offended. However, if we understand that we are not this body, this car, this family, this house that we live in. The only home that we should call our abode is our way back to Krishna, is our home, Krishna. And the only way back home is through Prabhupada's instruction and in his books. And lovely examples that we have in our midst, like Smita Krishna Prabhu. And like all of you. So I'd like to leave you all with that message, that whatever happens, good or bad, is Krishna's plan unfolding. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that wonderful analysis, realization from young persons. So they say out of the mouth of babes come the truth. So children, if they do that, they can speak honestly. So bringing up the other end of the scale, come closer to the scale, right? But we say middle of the scale, right? So it's a large Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So definitely paying each from oldest to youngest. So greetings to Prabhu and our host and guest tonight. It's certainly a privilege to share a few sentiments on the impact of Srila Prabhupada. And it's wonderful to hear from the previous two speakers who imparted their life lessons, and I'm sure we all can learn from it. Srila Prabhupada, the name carries so much of weight, so much of value. And this human body that we've been blessed to have with our tongue, our ears, and our mind. So what better purpose, fit for purpose, than to reverberate the name of Srila Prabhupada? Because that sweetness helps to soothe our ears, and it's entrenched in our mind, which helps us to be focused in life. And Srila Prabhupada has so many qualities, and definitely I'm not going to do justice today. And I'm not qualified to do justice. But his value of coming into the material world from the spiritual world has saved so many of us. He has given us so many examples that we can entrench and we can aspire to live our life to. And through Smita Krishna Prabhu's presentation, we can see the aspects of sacrifice, of humility, of perseverance. And Srila Prabhupada gave all the credit to his spiritual master. Never did he take anything for himself. In going more in depth in Srila Prabhupada's teachings, he has come to sort of help us in all parts of our life, be it in our teenage life, our adults, be it a parent, be it in our old age. He's given us the value and the understanding of what life is about. He's taught us about birth, he's taught us about death, reincarnation, and ultimately, he stressed on the point of our constitutional position as being servants to the Supreme Lord. And that he has continuously stressed, and he's given us the opportunity through devotional service where we can ultimately free ourselves from this material bondage. He's given us so much more. He's put his blood, sweat, and tears in his books, and he boldly states, I will live forever. And that's through his books. By studying his books, by reading his books, we have that relationship with Srila Prabhupada every day. And it's something that we are so fortunate to have. He's given us the manual to partake in prasadam, guilt-free, sin-free, sanctified prasadam, which the whole world is latching onto. He has given us temples and festivals, which is a 365-day party on the calendar, which we can look forward to. Today when we go to India, we have the knowledge as to why we're visiting Vrindavan, why we're visiting Mayapur. As Lord Chaitanya mentioned, his general will set foot on this earth and the holy name will spread like wildfire. And that's what's happening today. These wonderful devotees are engaging in kirtan, and they are attracting us and they're drawing us. And what's happening is that we are burning our ego. We are becoming comfortable. We are becoming more knowledgeable about the real meaning of life. And I want to close up in saying that, Srila Prabhupada is a reason for us, for me personally, for living, for serving, and hopefully at the end of my life, he can glance over me and I can depart this world successfully. So thank you for your time, and Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for reminding us of all the aspects your Prabhupada has given us. So I hand over to Rupesh. Slow last, if you can Bhagavad Gita. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. So is there anybody that would like japa beads? Maybe you all want to start chanting, you're feeling really energized, or you all know somebody that would really benefit from these japa beads. Prabhu's here and he'll hand it to you all. Please don't feel shy, we have 3 sets of japa beads as well as 4 Bhagavad Gitas. So if there's anybody that would like to come forward, or would you like Prabhu to ask questions? He is a lecturer, so you'll have to get ready for some really difficult questions if Prabhu is going to ask. Please come forward. Who wants some japa beads? Don't feel shy. We've got Bhagavad Gitas and japa beads. If the first person comes forward, everyone else will feel confident. Who's going to be the first brave person to come forward?
Who doesn't have Bhagavad Gita at home? Hare Krishna. What is your good name, Manju? Say.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
How are you?
I'm absolutely happy to see that you're standing here.
Thank you for giving me the japa beads.
Which with you?
And not the Bhagavad Gita I have. The Sangha. Thank you so much.
And she'll teach you how to use it. What's your good name, Manju?
It's Sushila.
So let's give Sushila Majidi a nice round of applause.
Thank you, Srila Mataji. Anybody else? Anybody else? Japa beads, Bhagavad Gitas. If you have a copy and perhaps you want to pass it on to a family or friend.
Perhaps they may want to take it later.
Okay, so it is available and you can take it later. A huge round of applause to Prabhu. Thank you so much, Srila Krishna, for such an amazing class.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
It was the perfect way to spend this auspicious day, Nirjala Ekadasi, in association with Prabhu and hearing the beautiful pastimes and him sharing all this knowledge that he has with us. So thank you once again, Prabhu. Okay, so I have one announcement for this evening, and I did mention this at our last Namahatta. Please save the date for this year's 10th campaign. 10th campaign 2025 is on the 18th and 19th of July. We have such an exciting 2-day program lined up for everybody. So please do join us. Spread the message, share the invite with family and friends. We look forward to having each and every one of you there. We have eloquent speakers, we have a lovely kirtan team that will be there, we have dramas, we have dances, we have so much to share with you all. We have sumptuous prasad that we are planning to have. So please, please, please avail yourselves on the 18th and 19th of July. We look forward to each and every one of you being there with us. So as I mentioned right at the beginning of our program, it is a very, very special day because it is Madhurya Mataji's birthday today. So let's give her a round of applause and let's call her Madhurya Mataji. So I don't have to introduce Madhurya Mataji to any one of you all. You all know her. She and Mahaprasad Prabhu has so lovingly opened their hearts and homes to all of us. We are here this evening because of their generosity, their kindness, their devotional service that they do so wholeheartedly to all of us. Such an inspiration. So thank you, Madhurya Mataji, for everything that you do for us. And it is Mataji's birthday today, being the 6th of June. So I'd like to call Namahatta Prabhu, and he'd like to share a few words and say a few words about his Dharam Patni. And for those of y'all that are on the Lamasi chat group, y'all would have seen all the messages, all the love that was pouring in to Mataji. So Mataji, no words can express how much you mean to each and every one of us. Thank you for everything that you do. And I now hand it over to Mahaprasad Prabhu. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
It's her birthday, I don't know why I have to.
You have to say
I guess she does all the talking when nobody's listening. So, to be honest, she's not much of a talker, but she's much. I think on WhatsApp she can talk a lot. So, to be honest, she actually inspires me because of her enthusiasm and motivation. She thinks of everything. Sometimes I can't even sleep because while we're sleeping, I have to do this. So she's always 24/7. She's thinking about this, doing that. And this, I think, I'm very grateful in that I'm also getting engaged in this. Even though there's some challenges, it's not easy, but she makes it easy. And I thank her for that, and I pray that, somewhere down the line I get as inspired as she is, and I can get as convincing as she is, because I don't know how she brings it people. Again, Krishna is always blessing you all. So, Madhurya Mataji, thank you so much. A blessed birthday to you, and there's so many devotees to share it with, so thank you. So she's going to say something.
Thank you, everyone, for always coming when I call you all, and I really truly appreciate and love you all. And I'm sorry that I WhatsApp you all the time. All I want to do is give Srila Prabhupada's message to all of you, and I truly love and appreciate you all.
Thank you, Madhurya Mataji, and we all love you as well very much. If you just look at how many people have come here just to spend this evening with you, that will say how much you mean to all of us. So I have a very special request from one of the devotees that are seated here tonight, and she said that she'd love to say a few words about Madhurya Mataji, so I'd like to call Kami Mataji forward. Let's give her a round of applause. Kami Mataji made a special request to me that she'd like to say a few words.
Hare Krishna, my dear devotee friends. Where does one start with Madhurya Mataji? She is the epitome of love, of warmth, of everything that a woman should exude. She has the finest qualities as a mother, a friend, a colleague, a mum, a spouse. She is really an exemplary woman. And her humility, I believe, is one of her most remarkable qualities. As somebody mentioned, she makes every single person that crosses her path feel so special and so loved. Thank you so much, Madhurya. Your home has become an oasis in a huge desert. In a world of conflict, in a world of war, in a world of hatred, in a world of negativity and dissatisfaction. This La Mercy Namahatta has really become an oasis, a sanctuary in heaven on earth. And it can't be easy. We all know sometimes when we get guests coming over, there's so much buzz and activity and planning and preparation and cooking and pots and pans and noise, and you just wait and say, oh, I'm so glad it's over. It's fun, it's wonderful for that day, for that time. But with this home, there's always activity, there's always people, there's always things to do. As Mahaprasad Prabhu mentioned, her mind is always in overdrive. There's this to do, and there's that to do, and there's that to do. But whenever you see her, there's that radiant, glowing, wonderful smile on her face, and it comes from her heart. She really exudes love when she sees every single one of us. And that, my dear, is such a beautiful quality you have. So I pray to Krishna and to Srila Prabhupada, whose task you have taken over so beautifully. You inspire us to go on every day and become stronger in our Krishna consciousness. So you've become a beacon of light to us, just as much as Srila Prabhupada is to us. You inspire all the mothers out there to ensure that their children get a taste of Krishna consciousness from the time they are young. Right? So the footprints that you are leaving are immeasurable. The lessons you are teaching are invaluable. Remain as humble and as beautiful as you are. Okay? And always remember, we value everything you do. So on those days when you get up and you are weary and still tired, just know that we draw a lot of strength from you. We gain a lot of inspiration from you. And your journey, the purpose that you have chosen, is one of the most beautiful ever. So on behalf of every single one of you, dear devotees, let us put our hands, let us all stand. Let us all stand as a mark of respect and admiration for this phenomenal woman, Namahatta. And please sing with me. Happy birthday, Mataji. Happy birthday, Mataji. Happy birthday, Mataji. Happy birthday to you. For she's a jolly good devotee. For she's a jolly good devotee. For she's a jolly good devotee. And so say all of us. Hip hip. Hip hip. You may be seated. I'd like to also at this point thank Gopeshwari Mataji also for being a tower of strength to Meera Mataji. So let us put our hands together also for our beautiful Mataji. We are also so proud of listening to her on Radio Indani. She's doing a fantastic job, and you are also an inspiration to us. Mahaprasad Prabhu, thank you so much for being such a wonderful partner to our dear Meera Mataji, and for giving her all the support and strength that she needs to help the rest of us. And to all those devotees that are here, every time Madhurya Mataji sends out a call, please devotees, we are doing a feed this Sunday, we need your help. To all those wonderful devotees who offer their unwavering support, thank you so much. Madhurya Mataji, once again, happy birthday to you. I wish you every bit of happiness that Krishna can send your way, okay, and continue with the wonderful work that you are doing. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Sometimes it's not nice to listen to the Matajis. In this case, yes, I will listen to Matajis. So tomorrow, so there's two wonderful souls here. They're both sharing almost one after the other birthdays. So tomorrow is Gopeshwari Mataji's birthday. I don't know how this is planned. Seriously.
I'll be invited back here to
To break it, of course. Yes. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Kami Mataji, for such a beautiful speech. Thank you for the kind, true and loving words about Madhurya Mataji. Probably you took pictures of the family? Okay. No, it's fine. You can, whoever wants to take pictures of Mataji later, you're more than welcome. She's going to be here. She's not going anywhere. So you can definitely take pictures with her. So we've come to the end of our program. We're going to observe Aarti. Aarti will be performed by His Grace Nita Krishna Prabhu. We're going to have lovely Kirtan. Chanson Prabhu is here. Thank you, Prabhu. And we have our lovely Ajit Prabhu as well on the flute. Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, thank you as well for your lovely Kirtan earlier. So we got this beautiful team that's going to now lead us into Kirtan, into very melodious Kirtan. And we have sumptuous Ekadasi Prasad waiting here. If you are observing Nirjal Ekadasi and you will not be having Prasad right now, that's not a problem. We have takeaway containers, so if you are keeping your fast, you can take your Prasad home with you. So thank you once again for joining us this evening and safe travels back home. Please may we all rise as we get ready to observe Aarti. Thank you once again. Hare Krishna.
Concha.
Lord Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज विचारे अस्त्र श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज विचारे अस्त्र श्रीमद शीला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर महाराज की आनंद कोटि वैष्णववृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री गिरिधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपा गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की नीलाचल जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माया जमुना माया की तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की इलाचक श्री श्री राधा राधानाथ की इलाचक जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की इलाचक श्री श्री निताई गौर हरि के हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद के गौर प्रेमानंदे लामसी नमहाट्टा के गौर प्रेमानंदे श्रीमती मधुर्या माता जी की मधुर्या भक्ति माता जी की गौर प्रेमानंदे
Krishna